Hey, this is Aaron Shaw with another edition of Coach's Corner. This is our weekly newsletter on some tips and tricks to help you stay as healthy and active as possible. And today I want to talk about some variations for core strengthening, trunk strengthening exercises. Specifically, I'm going to go over the hollow body hold. So we issued this to a lot of our clients as a very low tech way of getting core strength. And all you need is a mat and some gravity, and you're good to go. Now the key with this exercise is to make sure that you're doing it safely. And so if you do have back issues, back pain, specifically low back pain, I would recommend that you make sure you talk to your physio coach and really kind of monitor what you're feeling, because it is demanding. And I'll show you how to kind of simplify it first and then make it more complex. So to start with, all you're gonna do is lie down, and I want you to think about your having as little space as possible between your low back and the floor. And in order to do that, you got to kind of think of contracting your abs, like pulling your belly button into the floor. And you can do that even in the position I'm in now with my feet flat on the floor. So my belly button's kind of being pulled into the floor right now. Now if I give a little contraction, I'm going to pull up my hips and knees here, so I'm kind of like I'm sitting in a chair. And for my arms, I'm just going to hold them straight out in front of me. So this is also kind of a setup position where some of you may be familiar with a dead bug exercise, where you're kind of alternating arms and legs, perhaps even holding a yoga ball in between your arms and legs while alternating. But this is a really great fundamental way to, with your legs and knees kind of close to you and arms straight up, to engage your core and kind of teach your brain to activate your core to give you some stabilization without the demands of a dumbbell or a barbell or any sort of weight resistance. So to make this, if this is the most basic, one of the more basic ways to activate your core, one way to make this a little bit more challenging and to get closer to the true hollow body exercise would be to take your arms and think about taking your shoulder blades and lifting them up off of the floor. So now this is a little bit, you would think of it almost like a crunch, because you definitely have to contract your abs more. But the key here is you're really reaching up and pushing your low back into the floor. And it's hard to talk when I'm doing this, but reaching way up. And so right now my shoulder blades are not on the floor at all, versus if I relax, now my shoulder blades are kind of resting on the floor, or completely relax with my head on the floor. So upper body reaching up, really contracting the abs. To make this more difficult for the upper body, while keeping your shoulder blades up off the floor, you can work on bringing your arms up overhead. So now we're creating, with my arms up overhead, more of a lever arm, more resistance. So I have to pull harder in my abs. That makes sense so far? Give that a shot. If you can do that, I don't want to say comfortably because it's not very comfortable, it's challenging. But if you can do that and you feel like you can tolerate a little bit more resistance, more effort, then what we can do is from this raised position, work on bringing our legs out in front of us. So same idea, the further your legs go out, the more demand it is on your core. You may feel like your back starts to arch the further you reach out. What you're gonna have to do is contract your abs enough where you're keeping your low back close to the floor. If as you go further out, you feel like you're going at the expense of kind of having a little bridge here on your low back, you're going out too far, it's too advanced for either your strength or just the stamina that you have right now. So if I were to do the same exercise and even same demonstration in 45 minutes after doing a full exercise routine, I may not be able to get my legs out here because my core is too pooped out to do it. So we'd have to kind of modify it back. So it's going to depend on how strong you are and how fresh you are. Excuse me. So from here, we can go reach up, shoulder blades have to stay up, bring the legs out, shoulder blades are still staying up. So this is the hollow part of the hollow body here. And if I go real close to the floor, that makes it even harder. And lastly, to go arms up overhead and really kind of drive that low back into the floor. And that's not easy. And to come back, before just dropping your legs, I would bring your knees in, your arms up, so you can kind of have a controlled landing. So that is a hollow body hold. I would suggest if you're going to try this and you haven't done this before, the first way to progress, or the first start to make sure you can do it and you can tolerate, your core can tolerate it without irritating your back, is to just go into the kind of the seated position and arms straight up. And instead of lying with your head flat, think about contracting your abs, doing a little bit of, again, what you're going to think of it as a crunch, but your arms are reaching up towards the ceiling. And if you can get your shoulder blades up off of the floor and hold that for 15 to 30 seconds, that's a good sign that you're ready to perhaps tolerate something a little bit more advanced while keeping those shoulders up. And then lastly, bringing the legs forward. But if, as you're bringing your legs out, if you feel like you start to drop down, that means you're overstretching a little bit from what you can actually tolerate. So give this a try. First, success with a little bit more closed, compact position. I would shoot for 15 to 30 seconds, slowly relax. If you can do a couple repetitions of that, and even build up to 45 seconds and even a minute with arms straight out and knees kind of up and close to you, then I would advance this with reaching your arms a little bit further back. That's probably going to mean cutting your time down. So it may mean cutting it down to 10 or 15 seconds. But as you get stronger, you'll be able to do it 15 seconds, 20, 25, 30 seconds. And then lastly, as that gets easier, and it's not going to be easy, but if it's less difficult and your back feels okay and you're still kind of keeping your lower back close to the floor, then you can experiment with legs reaching out, arms reaching up, and most importantly, keep the core engaged, and you're always pulling, kind of hollowing your body, keeping your shoulder blades up off the floor. So in that position, in that true hollow body position, unless you're an Olympic champion or something, it's hard to hold it for very long. So, I mean, even though some of the strongest people that we work with here, a minute, if you can hold like a really honest hollow body position, especially after a full workout, which is normally when we kind of focus on core after we've worked everything out, then if you can hold that for a minute, let me know, because that is exceptional. So, back pain, it's a deal breaker. Don't do it. Give this a shot. If you have any questions about doing this or ways to modify this, shoot me an email, talk to your physio coach. Until then, keep up with your exercise habit.